All right, are you ready? Is everyone there for the class? Okay. So as I said earlier, today we're gonna first start with language and culture. Those two are inseparable. When people say that French people sound rude, cold, or arrogant, this almost never comes from the vocabulary. It comes from a mismatch between cultural expectation about how language should be used. In many cultures, especially English-speaking ones, language is often used to create comfort. Don't you agree? I did start to understand, this when I went and traveled to America and how everyone is so extremely polite. It's not just polite, it's like they go above and beyond to do it. And I was really surprised about this kind of behavior that it made me feel like this sounds so fake. It sounds fake. Because it's like, there's this tone in the voice, and I'm like, and I really didn't like that, but it's not a bad thing, it's just like, we're different. By example, in English, you soften sentences, you add friendly words, you avoid saying things too directly because the goal to make the other person feel good is to make the other person feel good. I don't know if you agree with that, but because I'm not talking about talking casually with a friend. It's about when you talk in your business, with collaborates, at your job, or anyone. And I feel it the most when I'm talking with somebody who's corporate. Always. And so in France, the primary goal of language is not comfort. The primary goal is precision. So it means if you're wrong, we're gonna say it to you. Even if, you didn't ask for our opinion, we'll say it anyway because we care about your opinion. It doesn't mean we dislike you, we don't want to be insulting. It simply means that we want you to be right, but to be right, you need to be corrected. And, getting corrected is not a bad thing. It's a way to improve and a way to learn. And, it's precision. So precision is deeply valued. Say exactly what you mean without exaggeration, without emotional padding, and without unnecessary positivity. It is seen as a sign of intelligence and seriousness. See what I mean? Let's actually go and move screens. Here you go. So, perception again. French, rude, cold and blood. But it's what's really happening, the different goal of language. Do you understand? So, it's important to work with the precision. But for you, you do it with comfort. And so that's why we're seen as assholes. And why you're seen as a little bitch. So, direct is always hostile for a lot of people, and neutral tone is not very much appreciated here in France. So, we always say what we mean, no emotional padding, no fake enthusiasm, and for you, you're softened, you smile through your words, and you cushion everything, because you're so scared of being judged, or so scared to make enemies. So the language used in France is shaped by cultural values. Okay? French is the autism of cultures and language. That is true that a lot of people that are autistic, they tend to be very direct. And that's why a lot of them doesn't like people who are autistic. And I guess that makes them half French. French is autistic. No, it's just how it is here in France. That's all. We're straightforward. Okay? We're not fake. So now, this leads us to, about the precision, about what we talked just before. Wait, actually, one sec. So I don't want to spoil you. if I were to show something that I haven't talked about yet because I want to talk about it and then show like, you know, my work there. Okay. I'm gonna open this and put it there. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, let me see. Just want to make sure I'm not gonna spoil you. That's a nice display. Well done. Thank you. Okay, so I can show this next one after I'm done with talking with the next part, which is like, you know, about precision. So, because of this, vague and overly softened speech can actually be perceived as unreliable or insincere. If you constantly say things like maybe or kind of or I'm not sure but, a French listener may feel like you do not really know what you're talking about, even if your intention is simply to be polite. And that's what a lot of times since I started being a streamer, I really hated when people would talk. And I'm like, I didn't ask for your opinion, I'm asking the people who knows. But you still like, you know, take the time for fucking answering a question that you don't even know the answer of. So you're trying to be polite. But I'm like, shut up. You're not being polite, you're being annoying. This is because we lack structure here in France. When we say, who knows the answer? You raise your hand, okay? And then when I point, I do, yeah, you.
Spoil
then
us,
you give me
Saru.
the answer.
You've already spoiled us with your beautiful voice enough. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you very much, Haru. Happy Valentine's Day. Now, as I was saying, you don't raise your hand to just say, I don't know, or maybe it is this, or it is kind of this. No, you don't want to do this. No. Okay? You want to make sure you know the answer at 100%. You shut up, and let the other people who know speak, and you can learn from it. So, this leads so directly to something that shocks a lot of foreigners: correction. In France, correcting someone's language, ideas, or facts is not automatically rude. In fact, it is often the opposite. When someone corrects you, they are engaging with what you are saying. So if we're talking together and you correct me and I'm wrong with something, you saw how I'm not like going against you. I'm always saying, oh really? Are you right about what you say? Can you show me? Can you give me proof of your statements? I'd very much like to, learn from what I may have been missing, because I don't want to talk bullshit when there's the right answer, somewhere. You got me? So they are showing that words matters enough to be taken seriously. Ignoring mistakes, on the other hand, can signal indifference. That is why in classroom, workplaces, and even among friends, correction happens frequently and openly. Okay? So, on that subject, do you have any questions before I continue? It sounds a lot like mathematics when you prove a theorem. Neat. Mathematics? You cannot go pee. We just started class maybe 10 minutes ago. You had plenty of time to go and use the bathroom. Are we allowed to be direct as well? Yes, you are always welcome to be direct. And yes, you can use a TTS as well when, I'm taking the time to, I can read you from here, so it's fine. You don't have to use a TTS. Happy Valentine's Day, right? Happy Valentine's Day, yes. That's why we're studying French today, the language of love, isn't it? Achète des saveurs sur Gipsubs avec le code Saroué. Merci. I feel like I like French conversation practices more than American ones. Have you tried speaking with French people, or is it just because I started talking about this, so you're like, oh, actually, I like the way French people communicate? Huh? How do you communicate? What are you unsure about something and wish to know more while already having given an answer? Even if you give like the answer and you were really like, siding with your opinion, it's fine to just switch side. It is perfectly fine. Because you learn. Do you want to be wrong your entire life? You'll feel like more like a fool later rather than now. Oh, let me just fix this. You can give an answer and then change your answer. Like, it's not like, written on stone. In French, we have a saying, yes, right, thank you, Solway. It says, it's a very famous, French quote. It is, y a que les cons qui changent pas d'avis. Which means there's only idiots who never change opinions. And that is true. You have to be an idiot for never changing your opinion. You have to at some point in your life. Only fools can change their mind. Thank you very much. That's a much better translation. I'm teaching people French culture. So language and culture right now. Not the French language. Alright. Let's say the teacher asks you a question. Wait, fuck. I didn't have time to read that. That was a good question. Let's say the teacher asks a question and you answer incorrectly. Would the teacher insult the person who raised their hand? No, absolutely not. We are not insulting when somebody is wrong. You can raise your hand and be wrong, and that's fine. But like if you're unsure or you don't know, it's always, I think, better from my point of view to just shut up and listen to the people talking and see what are their arguments. You should not as well trust people's opinions at face value. You should always look for information online or anywhere else. If somebody can help you and provide you because they've been studying that set subject, then yeah. But just to say, it's fine to be wrong. All right, I continue. I think since we're talking about precision, I'm going to. Fucking my phone just turned off. Here you go. There you go. So we go to the next part here. I cannot read from there. That is way too small. I should have made it bigger. But you can see. I can read it from here. So the language is always mainly, the French language is mainly for precision. Like the word intellectual tools, clarity, emotional cushioning. Okay? We don't care about emotion. We're not here about, emotion. We want, I'm not right. I cannot find the right goddamn freaking word I want to use. But what I'm saying is, always try to be as correct as possible. That's what I mean. Rather than being polite. So, mistakes are always opened correctly, ideas are challenged directly, and the facts are verified immediately. Okay? And that's one of the things I always see a lot on Twitter. People just, believe whatever the fuck somebody is saying under a tweet. Context, please. And then you have somebody in the chat who goes like, actually, this person is the worst person ever because they did this and they did that. But they are extremely vague. You shouldn't trust those people who write or talk this way. You should actually look properly online. And if you're too lazy to do so, then you should just, not even put your nose into, those subjects. Anyway. So correction means that you are taken seriously. So it means like if a French person were to correct you, it doesn't mean they're being rude. It's just because they care about your opinion and they want to help you out about broadening your knowledge. So wording matters. And the discussion is so active. You don't want to have a conversation when it goes one way, right? So in, French, when we debate, we love fight each other's, not, with emotion and fist or rage or raising our voice, but by debating in a very polite manner about everything and anything. Like if we were to talk about which one is the best one, I'm telling you, you can have two French people talking for hours and hours, about which one would be the best. And they would both agree to disagree to sometime, learn a few things or two about different wine. So yeah. So ignoring a mistake may signal indifference and lack of engagement. So if somebody's just really not listening to you, they're not talking with you, it just means they really don't care. So yeah. It seems like it doesn't even look like I'm talking about French language, but I'm just explaining like why we're seen as rude. And I know it's like, very common in a lot of other language as well. It's very European as well. It's not just to French, it's very European. So yeah. So again, in French, we say exactly what you mean. We avoid exaggeration, avoid unnecessary enthusiasm, and precision signal intelligence. In many English spoken culture, again, is soften statement, add positive tone, and avoid sounding too direct, because you care more about the feelings rather than like yeah. That's just, I don't know, it just feels like, fake and kind of a loss of time. Why would you talk with somebody if at the end of the day you're just being polite, but there's no actual conversation at the end of the day, Let me look. What would be the next one? Now, let's see. What am I talking after? Yeah. So it goes back to what I was talking before. Now let's talk about disagreement, because this is an area where language and culture are completely intertwined. In French culture, disagreement is not a breakdown of conversation, it is the conversation. You are expected to have an opinion and you are expected to defend it. And we want we want you to defend it. Do you agree, or... I mean, you can disagree, but I think it's important that if you share an opinion, we want to challenge you about your opinion. That's why I really like watching podcasts and so on, because it's really cool how two people can debate. I prefer the one where nobody gets upset, because it becomes so much more interesting and both sides are learning. It's just awesome. For me, it gives me back my faith in humanity when people behave properly. Agreeing with everything someone says does not mean doesn't make you pleasant. It makes you seem passive and uninteresting. When someone disagrees with you directly, even early in a discussion, this doesn't mean they dislike you. It just means they are participating. And this is why in French conversation often feel more intense than conversation in other cultures. People interrupt each other's. That's also a very French thing, is that sometimes we don't even let somebody finish their sentence and we always like to interrupt. I'm not saying with everyone and everything. Again, it depends as well, the context and your situation, who you're talking to. Is it like a friend? Is it a family member? Is it maybe a co-worker? You never know. It really depends on the context. But for me, whenever I speak to French people, we always interrupt each other, always. It's not rude at all as well for us. That's why I think maybe a lot of people doesn't really like talking to me. It's because I'm very direct, and I don't mean to be impolite. Where was I? Yeah. So when someone disagrees with you directly, even early in the discussion, this doesn't mean they dislike you. It means they're participating. That's what I said. This is why French conversation feels more intense. Blah blah blah. Where was I? Yeah, exactly. People interrupt each other. They jump in with counter arguments. They challenge small details, but notice something important. The emotional tone often stays controlled. The words can be strong, but the voice remains calm. In France, raising your voice or becoming overly emotional during a discussion can be seen as losing control, not as being passionate. Silence also play a different role. In many cultures, silence is uncomfortable and needs to be filled quickly. In France, silence is allowed. It often means the person is thinking. Pausing between answering in a sign of... pausing before answering is not a sign of incompetence. It can be a sign of seriousness. Because of this, conversation may feel slower on the surface, but denser in the content. And yeah, this is very universal again to Europe, but since I'm French, I'm talking about my French culture. I don't live in other countries and I don't know how you guys interact. I don't know how the Germans do things, or the people in the UK or anybody else, okay? Speaking too fast makes you fumble, exactly. And I'm the one, who knows, because I always speak way too fast and I speak a lot without thinking, which is like a really bad habit I have. Which could be also like, linked to maybe ADHD. Anyway. This is actually a really good lesson. Do you like it? Really? That makes me happy. I'm trying not to rush too quickly, because then it means like, the French class is gonna be like awfully short. I speak fast too, so we. Thank you, Shinobi. Do you have any questions? Before I continue, of course. I feel like this is like a very simplistic like topic. The other ones maybe will allow us to talk a bit more about like different topics and subject and situation. The thing before answering is interesting. A lot of people in the US... Wait. I cannot read that. A lot of people in the US will immediately try to answer, even if they don't really know what the answer is. Okay. Time to cancel my French classes tuition. This is great. Thank you. Now I'm good. I already asked questions from my teacher anyway. Okay. Just know, like, if you have any question, you can ask at any time. And you can tell me, like, whenever I'm wrong or not. Okay? I'm fine with it. How much correction before it becomes rude and annoying? You do as many correction as, like, is needed, because it's not rude, again, in the French language to correct somebody. Even if it's 1 time, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times. Oh, somebody said, like, that's a good question here. I have a question actually, but it leans more into the direct nature of the French language. When speaking elderly senior citizen, is there a change in tone? That's something we're gonna talk about it after one code through. That is an interesting question, but this is for the next subject. So don't worry, I'm gonna talk about it, because it's a lot about like language, culture, and how to be polite in our country. Can you see listen in America? I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know. It won't be like really useful to speak in a French matter in America, because I think you would make more enemies in America rather than, it's not good. I already had like, some inner drama with some VTubers in the past, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And it was related of me correcting them. It was, if I remember the story, we were trying to decide a name for like a group. And what happened is that somebody like, said, oh, I like the name Mono. And I'm like, somebody would give my opinion openly. I'm like, Mono sounds like, mono stereo or mono. It doesn't sound good, I told them. And I said, like, mono is also the shorter term for mononucleosis. And I don't know, after that, like, I don't know, everyone went quiet. And I'm like, what, did I do something wrong? And I just openly, like, told someone what I thought about this word. And it got me a lot of enemies just by saying that, even though I was just correcting them, because if like the name Mono was selected, I would see a lot of people making fun of the name Mono, and everyone would be like, mononucleosis. I know, because people, dude, my name is, Salui, and everyone keeps, like, calling me Saru and saying, oh, monkey. So you have to think about, like, those kind of things, how people are gonna, like, behave towards a name of a VTuber, or of a group, or whatever the fuck else online. So that's why I don't really hang that much with a lot of VTubers. I mostly, like, just, like chatting with, a few of them that I actually considered friends, but that's also why I avoid doing collaborations with other streamers, because I don't want to be seen as rude when I just play games with them. And that's why I'm like a bit, outside of the bubble. Doesn't mean, they are bad people. It doesn't mean I'm bad. It just means we have an entire different culture, and it can create confusion. And yeah, it's always shocking to Americans. It is a lot, yes. To be fair, you're giving people too much credit to be able to come up with mononucleosis. No, people are smart. People, we're on the internet, people are, schizos, okay? You have the psychos that are the elites, you have like the normies that are like, the common, citizen, and we have us, the schizos. I'm telling you, the schizos, always come up with a shit ton of incredible ideas. You can just see, by the memes they are making online. So you can argue on that all day long. I know the internet, and I don't think the people on the internet are stupid. I think they are heavily autistic, and the fact they are autistic, it's actually a superpower where they can actually be really good at whatever they do as long as they got the motivation to do it. But, that's all. That's what I think, personally. When you say Europe, you mean Central Europe? Because in Spain, we don't talk that way. Mostly every country around France, because we know each other's, France is also a country that is known for immigration, too. We have a lot of, I always see, people who say, French people, they're getting invaded, by so many, immigrants. And I'm like, bro, it's been like this, since after World War II. We needed, people to come over to, work in the mines and in a lot of different fields. It's actually rare, even, way before, to find people with a really French, name. You can find a person that is entirely, white with a beret, with a baguette and everything. You ask their family name, and it's either, Italian, German, Polish, and over, fucking, name. So, there is still French people. And it doesn't mean, people, in our country have, a different family names. That it means they are not French. Actually, they are born here, and they may know more the French, culture because they got educated the right way in our country. I'm starting to question my own place in my culture now because my friends cycle, and I typically try to verify information when we aren't sure. I mean, it doesn't mean because, okay, so the way we French people talk, it doesn't mean you don't have people in America who talk that way or anywhere else in the world. I think this way of talking is, I believe, the more efficient if we want to progress in a society. And I know a lot of people in America talk that way, and I like being friends with those people. I've been friends with a lot of people who are into politics, and I just love chatting with them because every time they're correcting me, they're like, no, look, there is this history here, this history there, and this, and we just always give proof about what we say, and not just a clip of somebody talking about their own experience. It's good to always have how do you say proof or backups with your statements, because where would you have a statement if you cannot properly prove everything you say? That's why I really like Shadow of the Doubt, because you can be like, this is a murderer, and you're like, okay, but what weapon did they use? This one. What are the reason? This one. Okay, and how can you link all of this together? This and this and that, and you just provide the proofs, the receipts, the conversations, the messages, the emails. And I never played Cluedo, but I guess it would be well compared to Cluedo. And so, that's just how I think a conversation should be. You should always back up your claim with proof. Again, I'm just, being repetitive, I know. All right, let me see where we were at. So, so we were having this. Now we go to the next part of, when we discuss. We're just regular talking, I think. So this cultural relationship to language also explain why small talks can feel awkward or limited. Phrases like, how are you? Are not always treated as empty politeness. If you ask the question, you may get a real answer. Repeating positive phrases without substance can feel artificial. Conversations are expected to go somewhere towards an idea, an opinion, or a shared reflection, not just to maintain a pleasant mood. So often, whenever I would have a conversation with somebody who's not French or European, when I would be like, hey, how are you? I'm not, asking for politeness. I'm actually asking, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Anything new? And there's a lot of people who just, smile and say, I'm fine, when actually they are not fine, and they actually wish to maybe talk about like their struggles or whatever the fuck. And it's because they don't want to be impolite, and they don't want to impose, their feelings towards the person they speak with. And so in general, when you speak with a French person, when they ask you, how are you are free to say, I'm not doing good. I'm not feeling fine. There's this and that happened to me. So usually, like, when, at least in France, we start the conversations because we want to start a conversation. We're not here. It depends again if it's in a workplace, if it's like, in your DMs with a friend. If it were for me in the context of a DM, I want somebody to actually tell me about their day and not just say, I'm fine. What about you? I'm fine. And then the conversation always stopped there. And I'm like, that was so fucking boring. It's just like, you're just answering to be polite, but you actually don't care to actually have a conversation with me. So, yeah. Talking about the birds and the weather and so on is just not polite here in France. It's just pointless. I just wasted my time and you wasted yours to just, be polite instead of trying to build a relationship here. A connection, a friendship, anything. So anyway, another important aspect is emotional expression. In French culture, emotions are often expressed through structure rather than volume. People choose precise words, irony, or understatement instead of delivered with a completely serious face. Sarcasm is subtle. You are expected to detect a humor through context and wording, and not through obvious signals. So now, let me look at this. One minute. I think we can go to the next page. There you go. All right, so all of this means that speaking French well is not just about grammar or accent. You speak perfect French and still feel out of place socially if your language behavior doesn't match cultural to and vous. Wait, maybe I fucked that up. Maybe I mixed some things. Distance adjustation, urban. Yeah, no, I think it's good. I think I just talked about it then. It would be like about the next part. So anyway, let's go back to here. Conversation is expected to go somewhere again. Question may invite real answer. How are you can be literal. Repeated positivity feels artificial. This is not what we want. Then, so the goal of the conversation is to develop an idea, exchange perspective, and reach reflection. Pleasant mood alone is not enough. So emotion is carried by wording, not volume. Notes: irony, understatement, subtle sarcasm, and serious delivery of a joke. It is loud, and for loud passion means loss of control, and structured argument is an emotional intelligence. So the humor requires context awareness, listening closely, and reading tone carefully. So yeah, sometimes we may try to joke, but we have a straight face. And so for people, it sounds like, are they being actually insulting me? But like in America, you have to be like, ha, 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 you're a bitch. And in France, we'll be like, you're a bitch. That's, you see what I mean? We're both joking, but we don't have the same intonation. That good for you? Got it. Good, very well. Let me drink some water. It's called pince sans rire. I don't remember I've heard that. So how do you tell if a person, French person is joking? You can tell by how close you are already to that person. Is it a friend that is French? They would be like either joking. It depends on the context. It just depends context, situation, and how close are you to that person. It's like also the intonation. Let's say you do a stupid joke, and they're like, you're an asshole. It doesn't mean you're actually an asshole. For them, it's like, you're funny. I like that. You're a bitch. I don't know. You know how I was since the beginning of my stream when I started as a content creator, as a VTuber full time. You saw how I really like to call you an asshole or bitch or an idiot. It doesn't mean I actually mean it. It just simply means that we're the same. We're on the same level. I'm just bantering with you and expect you to banter with me as well. Yeah, it's just bantering. Bantery. Second degré en français. Sorry. I'm a piggy. A French homie sounds pretty cool, NGL. Yeah. I'm not saying all French people are nice, okay? But again, don't forget, don't put everyone in the same basket for anything, any country, any context, whatever, okay? Alright, now, next part is politeness and social distance. So, I want to talk about something that is very specific to France and that many foreigners underestimate until it causes real social friction. The way politeness, distance, and hierarchy are built directly into everyday actions. In France, politeness is not about being warm or friendly, it is about maintaining the correct structure between people. And the clearest way this structure appears is through the use of tu and vous. So tu is you in English, but vous is you, but for a polite way that you would use for your teacher, your co-worker, somebody who's older than you, somebody who's working in a shop and you're a customer. And it is also used in a plural way, but right now we're talking about politeness, so we're not gonna go to plural. We're gonna go on the hierarchy. That's what I wrote here. In English, you only have you. Exactly. So in English, the word you does not change. You speak to your boss, your friend, and a stranger with the same pronoun. In French, that is not possible. You are forced, every time you speak to someone, to make a decision. Are we close or distant? Are we equal or not? This is a personal relationship, or is it a formal one? That decision is not neutral, and it sends a signal about how you see the other person and how you place yourself in a relation to them. So, this is what I'm literally talking about. Here, so it says using it too early would feel intrusive, claims closeness, and not earn for the use of tu. And for the use of vous, wouldn't just be using too long could be rarely offensive. It is just distant. So I try to make the best way to talk about it in a funny slideshow. Do you like this? So wrong choice, social friction, like I said. I'm gonna talk about it a bit more. So, tu, this one here, is simply informal. It implies closeness, familiarity, and equality. Vous is not simply polite. It implies distance, respect, and recognition of a boundary. Choosing the wrong one can instantly make an interaction uncomfortable, even if everything else you say is perfect. Using tu too early can feel evasive, as if you are claiming a closeness that you are not been earned. Using vous for too long can feel cold, but it is rarely offensive. In France, distance is safer than familiarity. What determines whether you use tu or vous is not one single rule. It is a combination of age, of job, of context, and setting. It matters because your seniority carries a weight. As a younger person, using tu with an older stranger can be feeling really disrespectful. Job matters because professional roles create hierarchy. A student, an employee, or a client is expected to recognize the status attached to a certain position. Context matter because the same two people might use different pronouns depending on where they are. Speaking to someone at a party is not the same as speaking to them at work, even if they are the same person. Got it? I'm gonna show the next one as well that I took some good time making. Simple, it's not crazy, but here you go. So, in the US, friendliness creates equality, first names, smiling, and casual tones. In French, structure create respect, titles, formal address, and controlled tone. So constant friendliness without foundation can feel forced, exaggerated, and socially careless. This is why Americans feel rejected and French feel Americans are overly familiar. Not bad intention, just different logics. Oui, non. So do you have any question before I continue? I think I can just talk about more context here. What I could bring would be so like I said, you use vous for somebody who's older, for your boss, for your colleague, for a stranger that looks like they might be your age or older. But usually you always say vous as a pronoun to show respect. Because even when you grow up, there's just so many people, you don't know how old they are. You cannot guess if they are a senior or younger. So you just use vous all the time. Even when you go, let's say, to a bakery, you say bonjour, vous, comment allez-vous? I would like a croissant, It's vous always with stranger. But you use tu, which is a regular you have in America for when you speak with, your classmate at school, a friend online. Like, by example, here, we're online, we don't really have, those familiarities, formalities, my bad. By example, I have Jono and Sadwell, who are both French, but they never, use vous with me, because I'm simply a streamer and they are my moderators. We don't have this. It's the internet. We don't need formalities. We're on the same level. So then I will be talking about. I don't know if I bring it after in another page. Okay, I'm gonna talk about it here. So. Usually when you have a coworker, let's say you're new in your workplace, okay? You're like, hey there, I'm Saloi, nice to meet you all. I will be using vous with everybody, okay? Always. I will be likely to use tu with somebody who might be younger than me, but since I'm new here, it would be, I think, better to use vous with everybody because I'm new, I shouldn't be disrespecting somebody who's younger than me and who have been working there much more longer than I. But then as time go on, you have your colleagues who are in the same position as you are, and at some point you start to become friends. You're like, hey dude, when I have a smoke for the break, you're like, yeah, let's smoke, let's have a cigarette. They go smoke the cigarettes. And usually that's where you start the conversation, you know? So at first, maybe the first day, there will be just, you know, vous, and vous. And after a while, since, you know, you're the new person and you are so like, you know, you're the youngest, they'd be like, hey, you know, tu peux me tutoyer. Tutoyer means you can use tu with me. So it means like, you know, now I'm breaking the formalities, we're on the same level, and it's almost like, you know, we're friends. Okay, but not entirely friends. It's more like, I appreciate you. I want you like to talk to me normally. Okay, let's just drop the formalities. I'm done with that. Tutoyer means like, you know, to use tu, and vous voyez means vous. Are other French things like you, or at least most? Most people will use like, you know, vous. For talking to a stranger that is somebody like, you know, who's older as well. By example, you are invited to, let's pretend, your boyfriend, girlfriend, even if you don't have one, I don't care, it's for context. You are invited to your boyfriend or girlfriend's family dinner. You come in, you can still like, you know, say tu with your girlfriend because you're past, you know, a lot of things. But when you will see the father, the mother, anybody like, you know, in the family that is older than you, you will be saying vous, always vous, because it's a sign of respect. And they are the one who will be like, you know, don't, you know, to me, and don't call me by my name. Absolutely not, never even. So whatever context can I like, you know, bring like this that I can think of. I know I have a lot of parents that are like, you better like, you know, say vous and not tu because I'm not his friend. So that's very important to like keep that in mind. Wait, question, if the invitation is given and you continue to be distant, would you that be offended or be considered rude? Usually you say tu because that would be rude, yes. It's a good question, really. I thank you for being so curious and actually asking about context I haven't like, you know, even thought about. So yes, if somebody like, you know, can be like, you can tutoie me, and you are like, no, I want to keep like, you know, saying vous. It's almost like, you know, you're in a desert, you are being offered water, and you say no, thank you. It's the same thing. I think it's better like, you know, you just drop it and you know, follow the stream. I don't know how to say it, but yeah. I always use tu for talking to the old person of my family. I mean, it's your family, it's not the same thing. When it's your family, of course you would be like, you know, saying tu. Always tu. You won't say vous to your like, you know, grandparents. It's like, you know, for strangers specifically. In your family, you just say tu to everybody. Unless like maybe you're like talking to a family member that is older than you and that you never met before. So I don't know, let's say you have like you are, I don't know, your parents separated, but you never met like, you know, your grandfather from your mom. So you won't say tu, you will say, you know, vous. It's because you don't know them, they are strangers still. Are we going to talk about verlan? Is it like, you know, the when where like, you know, you switch words? That's fucking disgusting. We don't talk about verlan, that's just gross. Okay, that's the people who cannot communicate perfectly in French who use verlan. That's what I think. I don't know, like, I thought, wait, Jono, what do you think of that, of the verlan? It's a youngster talk, yeah. So there's another language that is called verlan, and it's a way of talking where they switch, like, you know, some word from front and to behind. And it's mostly like, you know, kids, you know, in the streets who fucking, you know, just youngsters in high school or whatever, or, you know, little gangs. They like using a verlan to communicate. It's just disgusting. I don't like this way of communicating. It's just like butchering the French language. And then the day you actually get hired by a company, you keep talking in that language that is not sophisticated, and you won't be hired because you're not gonna be taken seriously. You can use, like, you know, verlan with your friends, but you would try to avoid using it when you are in your workplace. Even, like, you know, parents usually don't really like this as well. Yeah, I mean, like, I suppose, like, you know, there is also, like, rich families that may still, like, you know, use vous with their parents. Yo ma couille, ça va? Yeah, like this is fine between friends and stuff, but when I think about Vernon, I always like think how the youngsters like talk, and it's just like, come on, like you of course like you can talk this way with your friends, with your close friends. Yo ma couille, comment ça va? C'est vraiment important en France de connaître 2-3 mots du verlan en plus. Yeah, I think it's still like cool to learn some verlan words because they slowly still become part of the French culture, and we cannot really avoid like how a mass of people start to switch and change language. It's the same as in America. You always come up with like a lot of new wording that is not from adults. It's always the youngsters who come up with new words such as like dabbing, aura, or I don't know, typo, all of those like little like gamer coding and stuff. It's always a young who bring like new wording in a language. But I don't like Vernon. I avoid talking Vernon. Kwakube. That's an actual old stupid French meme. I don't even remember like the original one. Yeah, that's a mega French meme. Now I just completely forgot like where am I? Where was I? I think we can go to the next panel. Let me look what it was. 6767. Okay, yeah, we don't need to go on the next one. One sec. All right, next. So again, what shape, pronouns, choice, and tone based on age, professional role, settings, and statue. This is like, how and when you can use vous or tu. A student, a teacher, an employee, an employer, a young stranger, an older stranger. Hierarchy is acknowledgement, So even context shift it. Party versus workplace, private versus public. Some people, different structure. And again, it all depends on context. So, I decided to, put this. I didn't know, what else to... I like, putting some illustration. I love Team Fortress. So, a relationship, a move in stages. Formal distance, gradual trust, and explicit shift. The more from vous, the tu to tu often. The move from vous to tu often is proposed, comes from a senior person, marks a real change. It is symbolic. Skipping stage feels like socially impatient, disrespectful of boundaries. But once distance lowers, conversation become open, warmth increase, and directness intensify. So we love being direct, and it's good that when we finally have a conversation with a colleague and that we start to say tu, it means like we also are more open about giving our opinion, because we were talking about like how in France we like talking about being forward, about cutting somebody when they are talking. You wouldn't do this though to your boss or to a senior, but from the moment they allow you to use tu, to tutoyer, it means you are now as well allowed to maybe cut them, correct them, and be more direct with them, because that's why it's important to know the difference with with those two different things. More like French, it's a French, culture class. We already had a long time ago a French class that you can still, watch on my YouTube archive. It's still available. I'm talking about, just words and sentences and how things works. This is actually the best school like presentation I've ever seen. I'm very impressed. Stop it. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I put a lot of like work into it. Wait, what is being said here in the chat? I need to use my mouse. T'as du courage. Wait, merde. T'as du courage de faire rien qu'une petite leçon de FR à des Américains anglais. Well, I mean, people already liked kind of, I think, French accent and some French characters in video games and movies and so on. People liked me just for being French and having an accent since, I started the debut. And now we got Expedition 33, we got Fortish with the, animations they've done for Riot Games. And, well, I mean, we are predominant as well in the music industry and the video game industry with Ubisoft, which used to be much, much better before. And for music, I don't know, Daft Punk. We're really well known in electro. We have really good gastronomy. So I think with everything you've seen so far about France, I was thinking why not a French lesson as well as part of the rewards of the Z event 2025 we had last year. And I provided you this because you were showing interest about knowing more about the French culture. So there you go. I'm glad people are starting to be less mean and harsher against France and the French citizens. So yeah, let me go back to my papers of what I wrote here. Where was I? Yeah, I did say that, but I'm gonna say it again. Context matters because the same two people might use different pronouns depending on where they are. Speaking to someone at a party is not the same as speaking to them at work, even if they are the same person. So, I don't know if I said it, but yeah, let's say you go to a party and, oh, geez, your colleague or even your boss is there as well. What am I gonna do? What can I say? Do I say tu? Do I say vous? And usually they'll be either tell you to them, or they would be keep saying vous. I mean, initially you will say vous. They won't say anything. And depending on how the party goes, let's say you both get heavily drunk and you had start having fun and chatting and bantering, it might likely say just use to, maybe. It's not sure. So and then depending on how the event goes, maybe he was too drunk. Maybe the boss was too drunk and he was you can say tu. And then the day after he's back into his work mode and maybe he doesn't want you to say tu anymore. And so he was drunk. So usually you would always say vous from a party or a neutral place, and as well vous at the workplace. It's best you let the senior always tell you can say tu depending on where you are at. Okay, so if let's say the next day is oh, you can keep saying tu, you can keep me tutoyer, then it means you can use say tu from at workplace and outside of workplace. So yeah, again, you don't decide. Okay, don't forget, always vous. Most of the time. Alright, what else did I said? Oh yeah, this is where many foreigners struggles, especially Americans. In American culture, friendliness is often used to create equality quickly. Calling someone by their first name, smiling, joking, and speaking casually are ways of saying we are on the same level. In France, that same behavior can feel like refusal to recognize structure. It can come across as ignoring distance rather than creating a connection. This is why Americans often say they feel rejected in France. They try to be friendly, casual, and open. And they are met with formality, restraint, and emotional distance. What they interpret as coldness is simply the French respecting boundaries. On the other side, French people often perceive Americans as fake polite. Not because they think Americans are insincere as people, but because constant friendliness without an established relationship feels exaggerated and ungrounded. If politeness is everywhere, it stops meaning anything. So that's why. Let me look. What do I have on my next thing? Oh, okay, so then I didn't do another, like, okay, I just have to talk here. And then I will have to switch to the other subject. All right. So even myself, whenever I started to talk with companies, talk with people who look up to me, and I initially just wanted to, chat and see their work because I really like what they do, they are way too polite. They just, like it's what I said, like, how it feels like to me when somebody is, contacting me for work, for collaboration, and so on. They compliment me so much that I feel like they're really glazing and deep-throating me. It's like, go. Okay, that's just how it feels. It feels disgusting, it feels gross, it doesn't feel sincere to me. Even though, like, for you, it's like normal, for me, I just, stop fucking licking my feet. You're like just a drooling dog. It's gross. Like, no. I can't. And that's why sometimes I just lose my mind, because then they just, I don't know how to say it. It's just, I really don't like that. Let's see now. We can move to the next subject, I think. Oh, wait. What? Yes? There is a person with a If a person with a lower status, young, stranger, employee, also suggests you to switch from vous to tu, or is it only decision for the people with higher status? It's always people with a higher status, yes. Always. Brosser dans le sens du poil. Yes, that's actually a thing we have in France, which means to brush in the side of the hair. I don't know how you call it. It's brushing in the right way of the hair. You know what I mean? That's a French saying. And it's like, yes, you're so good. Good doggy. It's just, I don't like this. It just feels fake. It doesn't mean that, like, Americans are fake. It just feels extremely freaking fake. Oh my god. Yeah, it's brushing somebody's ego, I'd say, yeah. Anyway, next. Now let's talk about greetings, because this is where structure becomes visible immediately. In France, you do not start an interaction with a request. You start it with recognition. Saying bonjour is not optional. It is the verbal signal that you acknowledge the other person as a participant in a shared social space. Skipping it can feel dehumanizing. If it's a person, it's just a function rather than a person. That is why walking into a shop and immediately asking for something without saying bonjour can provoke irritation and coldness, even if the request itself is reasonable. So that's like, if you go to a shop and you don't say bonjour, and she, will look at you and she will be like, bonjour peut-être? Which is, bonjour maybe? And I'm telling you, like, everywhere where you go, even if, like, the client is king, in France, we don't care. You have... wait, what the fuck? My mouth tracking is not working anymore. What the hell? Oh, now it's working. Okay, anyway. Yeah, we take it personally because it's part of being polite. If you cannot say bonjour, which is good morning, you're being rude, and if they are allowed to not serve you as well if you're not being polite. So, titles matter for some reason. Saying madame or monsieur is not old-fashioned. In France, it is structural. You are acknowledging that you do not yet have a personal relationship with this person. You are placing the interaction on a respectful, neutral level. Dropping titles too quickly can feel like forcing intimacy. Using them too long is rarely a problem. Again, distance is safer than familiarity. Another crucial point is that in France, you do not jump social level quickly. Relationships evolve in stages. First, there is formality. Then, if trust develops, distance slowly decreases. The shift from vous to tu often happens explicitly, and it is usually proposed by the person with a higher status or greater seniority. This moment is important that it marks a change in the relationship. Treating it casually removes its meaning. So I'm, just repeating a bit all of this of what we already saw, but it's better repeating too much than not enough. I want you to process the information. We have a test at the end. This slow progression explains a lot of our cross-cultural frustration. Foreigners may feel stuck at a distance, while French people feel that things are progressing normally. The French are not withholding warmth. They are waiting for the relationship to earn it. When the distance is reduced, interaction can become very direct, very open, and very warm. But skipping steps is seen as socially careless. So, remember I made a tweet not so long ago that it's not because you cannot call me friend, It's like, that's why a lot of people, I think, see me as a bitch or as rude. It's because even people who, let's say, I added a VTuber, let's say, recently on Discord. And then, they go around and they're like, Salou is my friend, Salou is my friend. And I'm like, we're not friends. We are acquaintances. We're not yet, to the part where I consider you a friend. We're not using the vous, but here on a place where we're all equal, it doesn't mean, we're friends. It's something that needs time. Every day, a little bit, we go and become closer. I don't know if any of you took the time to read the book that is called Le Petit Prince. Le Petit Prince, or The Little Prince, is a very well-known book. And in this one, there is a passage that I really liked where the little prince meets a fox. And the fox is teaching him how friendship works. You will come every day at the same hour, and every day a little bit I will grow closer to you, and I will sit next to you. And as time goes on, the hay will make me remember the color of your hair, your scent, and your voice. And that's how friendship is earned. It's with time. And you just simply have to be patient. Yes, exactly. You don't want to rush friendship. You're not even sure, you're actually, liking each other's. But a little bit every day is the best. So, and normally it's something that, is done unconsciously as well. You don't think about, after 1 month and 2 days and 3 hours and 2 seconds, I would be, friend with that person. It's something that depends on how much you interact with them every day or every week or every month. It depends what you do as an activity. You just simply take times. Where was I? Here. So when you look at these rules together, tu versus vous, age, job, context, greetings, titles, and pacing, what you are really seeing is a culture that values clarity of position over emotional immediacy. Politeness in France does not say, I like you. It says, I know where you stand. And once that is established, everything else becomes easier. If you remember one thing from this lesson, let it be this. In France, respect comes from closeness, and structures come from friendliness. Misunderstand that and you will feel rejected. Understand it, and the culture suddenly makes sense. Yes. Any question before we go to the next part? No for now? All clear. Well, we're almost at the end of the class, but there's another subject we're gonna talk about. And after the last subject, there will be a test. I will be asking you a question, 20 questions precisely. You will have to pick the right answer between 4 options. And then, depending on how good you are working together into getting the right answers, then you will have good or bad grades. If you were my French teacher back in school, maybe I would have actually learned something. I wonder like what they actually teach people in French class. That would be really interesting. All these rules make me anxious. I could never be French. It's really easy. Wait, what's happening? Who wrote what in the chat? This is not tough. You all know you are here to goon. Gulo ho ho. Then what are you doing even here? You actually got baited into big anime boobs to click on that thumbnail and watch my stream. You fell for it, you gooner. Anyway. Okay, so if you have like absolutely no questions, I should continue. What do you think? French class was very grammar oriented, not so much about social standing influences. I mean, yeah, if you have a French class, that would be for, talking French. But then you will have, some understanding as well on, the culture, because if they teach you on how to speak French, they will explain to you, the tu and vous as well. It is a French lesson, not Canadian French. Because if they don't explain to you, how to use tu and vous, you are already, talking wrong. Okay, well, we're gonna go to the next part then of the class. Tu and vous was never explained. Why? Where's my... Mine is broken. There you go. Alright, so next part. Are you ready? Next part, wine, alcohol, and drinking culture in France. Now let's talk about alcohol in France, because this is one of the most misunderstood parts of French culture. From the outside, France looks like a country where everyone drinks wine all the time. From the inside, alcohol is actually very regulated socially, not by law, but by culture. What matters is not how much you drink, but when you drink, what you drink, and why you drink. So in France, alcohol is not mainly about getting drunk. It's about marking moments in the day and moments in social life. Drinking has a function. If you drink at the wrong moment, even something light feels strange. Where am I? Yes, if you drink the right thing at the right time, nobody thinks about it twice. Okay. The first key concept to understand is l'apéro. Now the French people in the chat know what I'm talking about, huh? L'apéro? Yes, it's a sacred ritual. So, the first key concept to understand is l'apéro. The apéro is not just a drink, it is a social ritual. It usually happens before dinner, never after. And its purpose is not intoxication, its purpose is transition. You are transitioning from the workday to the evening, from obligations to leisures, from individual time to shared time. An apéro can happen at home, at a bar, or even standing in a kitchen. What matters is not the location, but the timing and the mood. It is early evening, people are still alert, conversation matters more than alcohol, and food is usually involved in small amounts. Olives, peanuts, chips, maybe a bit of cheese. The drink is there to open the appetite, not to replace the meal. What you drink at the Apero matters. Wine is common, but usually in smaller quantities than during a meal. Beer is very common, especially among younger people or in casual settings. Spirits are rare unless they are diluted or used in aperitif drinks. Drinking strong alcohol straight before dinner is often seen as heavy or aggressive. No question for now, because I'm thinking... Oh yeah, I'm talking a lot about alcohol, yeah. Any question for now, before I continue? There are many similarities with Italian, I wouldn't be surprised. Wait, let me look here. Sorry, what if I don't like drinking at all? I just don't like the taste of alcohol beverage. You don't drink then, homie. You usually just have a glass of, I don't know, water or Coca-Cola before. Is a mixed drink fine? So again, like I said, a mixed drink that works with an apero, which means, wait, I took it here. Spirits are rare unless they are diluted or used in aperitif drinks. But I'm gonna talk about like one very well-known example after. This is where regional and traditional aperitif drinks come in. In the south of France, you'll see things like pastis. In other regions, wine-based aperitifs are common. And in the north and east of France, especially near the Belgian border, one very specific drink happens. Picombière. Picombière is a perfect example of how the French drinking culture works. Picon is a bitter orange liquor. On its own, it is a very strong and very bitter. You do not drink it straight like a shot. Instead, a small amount is added to the beer. The result is not a cocktail meant to get you drunk, but it's a flavored beer meant to be sipped slowly. Picombière is strongly associated with the Apero culture. It signals something very specific. It says, I'm relaxing, but I'm not losing control. It is not fancy, not prestigious, and not international. It is regional, slightly old-fashioned, and very, very, very French. Ordering a picombière tells people you know local habits. It is not about the taste alone. It is about culture belonging. Got it? So pastis is the same as picon, but you have it on the south part of France, but you can have it anywhere in France. But pastis, you would have it during summer. When it's hot, you would have a pastis. Picombière is at any time of the year. It can be during summer, it can be during as well, winter. It's fine. But this is very French. Apero is very, very French. Like if you are invited to a friend's house, you will have an apero before meal. Otherwise, it just feels weird. Even I think it's weird if I cannot have like some alcohol and snack if I'm invited to a place and I'm expected to have dinner with them. No? A very fresh pastis in the summer is heaven, according to a lot of people. Yeah. Is it frowned upon to pass on alcohol at the apero? No, it's not frowned upon. If you don't drink, it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. People are not forced to drink alcohol in France. They might judge you though, I gotta say, if you are like, with somebody older than you who appreciate alcohol a lot, and let's say you're having like a red meat or like a really good meal, and you're not having a specific wine with that specific meat, they will be judging you. They'll be like, you're missing out, that's, you do you, they won't force you, but they'll be like, you're missing out. They won't, think less of you, absolutely not, but they would be thinking like, he's an idiot. Because when we talk about alcohol here in France, it's about like appreciating a taste rather than drinking to be drunk. You drink because it just fits the meal, not because you want to lose control and lose yourself and just, lose sentence. It's just meant to accompany your food and your apero as well. Apero can only be eating chips and drinking cola. Yeah, you can drink Coca-Cola, water, whatever. Usually you will have snacks if you don't drink your alcohol. No other questions? So it's slightly insulting to the cook, but not insulting. I was asking for substitution. Yeah, it's not insulting, but people will think a little bit less of you, not too much. Let's say, for it depends from one person to another. Somebody who's really into food, I don't know, Gordon Ramsay, he would definitely judge you. Gordon Ramsay would be like, I'm not gonna force you to drink alcohol, but I'm gonna judge you because you're missing out on what makes it so good to accompany said alcohol with said food. Because even Gordon Ramsay is not French. He is very well, knowledgeable about food and specifically French food because his mentor was French. What else? Where was I? Hello, Officer Manvan, how are you doing? So in France, I learned that you treat meals as a special occasion, a way to bond with people, where a lot of people see it as sustenance. Yeah, in France, it's about sharing something. It's not just, we eat because we want to fill up our stomach or we want to get drunk. I don't know how to say, it's like ratatouille. It's refined. Okay, let's see now. Where was I? Now let's talk about wine. Because wine in France is not treated as alcohol in the same way it is in many other countries. Wine is considered part of the meal, not an event by itself. Drinking wine without food is less common, and drinking wine during a meal does not automatically mean a celebration. It can be completely ordinary. During lunch, especially on weekends or in traditional settings, a glass of wine is normal. During dinner, wine is common but not mandatory. Importantly, people often drink water alongside wine. Wine is not there to dominate the meal, it is to accompany it. Drinking too fast, refilling constantly or focusing more on the alcohol than the food can feel socially awkward. Beer occupies a different space. Beer is more associated with casual socializing, bars, apero with friends, and watching sports. In cafe, ordering a beer is completely normal, especially in the late afternoon or early evening. However, drinking beer alone very early in the day, outside of specific social context, can attract judgment. Again, timing matters. There is one very French place where all of this becomes extremely visible in everyday life, and it's the bar tabac, especially the ones with PMU. PMU, which make me go to the next panel. Oh yeah, fuck, I forgot about showing this because I took so much. And I forgot there's this panel. Let me go back to, what we said previously because I want you to appreciate the panels I took time to make. So again, perfect example, Pico Bière. Bitter orange liquor, this is a picon, and you put a little bit of this into your beer. So you sip it slowly. Not flashy, not strong, and it's very regional. It's very French. It says, I know the rhythm here. Drinks like this aren't about status. They fit the system, light, social, and controlled. Then, one in France is a part of the meal. It is not automatically celebratory, often alongside water. Drinking without food, less typical. Drinking too fast, noticeable. Refilling constantly, awkward. The focus stays on food, conversation. When accompanies, it doesn't dominate. So you don't drink like an alcoholic, not like him. Nuh-uh. We, slowly, with refinements. Yeah? No. No! Oui. Do you like, my little sliders that I've made? Thank you. They're very tasteful, they are funny. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad. It makes me happy. I've put a lot of work into it, and if you appreciate it, then it makes me happy. It's like, my work was worth the time to be put onto. So now I can actually go to the next one. The next one, PMU, that's what I said. So you don't know what is PMU. You can also already see the horse. Horse here as well. Yeah? You recognize the character? Who is this? No, it's not Scout. Look! It's McQueen! I didn't want to put Uma Musume because I was thinking, let's actually put like something mixed with TF2 and Uma Musume. Okay, so where was I? So PMU bar, yes. So those bars, there are places where they offer like, a TV and where you can actually bet on horses while drinking Apero. Exactly. So, where was I? A bar tabac is a cafe, a bar, a tobacco shop, often lottery counter, and very often a place where people bet on horse races. It's not stylish, it's not romantic, but it's completely normal. So this is very French, but it's not romantic. I wouldn't say we're proud of that, but that's very, 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 very French. So not refined again. People usually now it's different, but back then everyone would smoke inside, those PMU bar, and they would bet and they would drink. Oh, I'm very proud of that. You're very proud of that? Why? Then what else? I think I never went to a PMU bar, maybe once when I was a kid, but then I don't remember. Wait, what did you say, Jono? Chat is going too fast. I just realized the PMU logo has a human running on the left. It makes the Uma Musume reference even funnier. I just took the first, one that I saw. And I was thinking, I'm gonna use this one because it's just, we see horses on it. Alright. In the PMU bar, you can see how alcohol fits into routine rather than celebrations. You see some people with coffee, others with a small beer, sometimes a glass of wine, even late morning or just before lunch. To outsiders, that can look shocking, but the key point is behavior, not the clock. People drink slowly, often one glass over a long time. Nobody's trying to get drunk. Alcohol is present, but controlled. PMU PMU betting itself also says a lot. People argue about horses, odds, and luck with passion, but without illusion. Nobody seriously believes they are going to get rich. It's ritual, and if you know Uma Musume, it's basically the most unglamorous real-life French version of that. The same obsession with horses, but instead of anime horse girls, it's regular cigarettes, complaints, and a dummy on the counter. These are so why drinks like picon beer feels perfectly at home in these places. Slightly bitter, not too strong, meant to be sipped while talking and waiting. It fits the rhythm of sitting, chatting, and passing time without losing control. So yeah, this is definitely not refined. This is definitely not. You can look online, like you can just type like, PMU and friends, and you'll get your answer. Pilier de bar. Je sais pas ce que c'est là. But like it's mostly like old French people would go to. I don't think there's like youngsters who go there. Maybe it changed with Uma Musume, I don't know. Okay, no question. I don't know much about like the PMU, but I was thinking about bringing it because it's part of like our drinking culture as well. Then what else? Where we are at? Yeah. I was there. So spirits exist in French culture, but they are tightly placed. Hand alcohol is usually consumed either as an aperitif or diluted form, or as a digestif after a meal. So digestif come at the very end of a long dinner, often after dessert or coffee, and coffee otherwise. They are not meant to extend the party widely. They are meant to signal closure, one small glass, slowly. So that's when you actually have like really strong, liquor coming in. So let's look again here before I skip too much. So beer is a casual settings in the bar, in the late afternoon, and in the sport fields. In a bar tabac with PMU screens, coffee at one table, small beer at another, glass of whiskey nearby. I cannot read beers. Hard alcohol is lightly placed. Below equals diluted aperitif. And I should have wrote this like much bigger. I cannot read from here. And if I did too much, like it's becoming like a bit blurry. You know what? I'm just gonna let you read all of this because you can and I cannot. What is this here? Drinking is synchronized together, same rhythm, same moment. And continuing alone when overstops, it is noticeable. It's kind of cringe. Public drunkenness is seen as a loss of control. What else? The meal is for enjoying, stay articulate, and stay composed. So yeah, that's important to keep that in mind. Where was I here? Yes. That's just what I talked about. So this is why public drunkenness is relatively frowned upon. Being drunk is not illegal, but it is seen as a loss of self-control. The French cultural ideal is to enjoy alcohol while remaining articulate, aware, and socially functional. If alcohol makes you loud, emotional, or sloppy, it is considered a failure of judgment, not a funny accident. That's why I explain why young people may drink heavily in very specific contexts, like parties, but still respect strong boundaries in everyday life. Excess has a time and place, and that place is clearly marked. Outside of it, restraint is expected. So when you look at French alcohol culture as a whole, what you see is not indulgence, but structure. Apero has its time, wine has its place, beer has its context. Drinks like picon beer exist because they fit perfectly into the system: light, bitter, social, and controlled. If you remember one thing from this lesson, remember this. In France, drinking is not about how much you consume. It is about whether you understand the moment you are in, when you drink at the right time, in the right way, with the right people. Nobody questions it. When you don't, people notice immediately. So that is it for today's class with our 3 topics we've been talking about for now an hour and about 40 minutes, I think. So, okay, now I know how long it takes me to do all of this. It feels like I've been already talking for 4 hours. And I think like it's because I'm standing up and I'm moving and I'm talking and answering questions. Do you have any question before we actually start the tests? How do you get your own French readings? And for what occasion champagne is more expected popular? Champagne is expected during celebrations such as New Year's most of the time, or Christmas as well. You can also have like champagne for like a wedding or maybe like celebration of somebody's party, birthday party. Do you have similar tradition when it comes to other drinks like coffee? Yeah, we do. I mean, I can talk about it, but it's not in the test. So we do have like drinking culture as well and eating culture at different time of the day. But we usually have like, because you talked about like, coffee. Thank you very much for the sub-gift, Despicable Sims. Thank you so much for the 5 sub-gift. Oh, and thank you very much as well, Sentinella Border for the sub, Amebion, DM Zaku, Ziki Kane, Ryder, thank you so much, Dark Diamond Streaming, Cat and Soul, Symboli Simp, Materius, Son Adorable, Solar Scorn, Num, thank you, Berserker, Beer Ninja, thank you so much for the sub, everyone. So, what I wanted to talk about is, yes, it's not widely known, but it's known among the young people and the small kids. So you talked about coffee, but I think I can talk first about like where it originated and when does it is being consumed. We have something called le goûter, which means it's a snack you will have at the late afternoon, and it's usually kids, tiny kids from kindergarten to school and even middle school. You will have a goûter, and a goûter is simply a snack like you can have like a cake or like some cereals. But most of the time, the most known one that I'm aware of is having some bread, specifically a baguette that is sliced in half, and you would put butter and Nutella on top of it, and you would dip it into milk, or for some of the kids they enjoy milk with coffee. And so that's how they would eat it. Or if they don't like Nutella, they would have instead baguette with butter and some jam. So it could be like, I don't know, strawberry jam, blueberry jam, whatever they like. And so usually they would have it either at 4 p.m. or at 5. And they would have usually, I remember as a kid when I would have a goûter, I would eat 2 slices, maybe 3, and then I would drink a whole bowl of milk. And I think that's just about it. And then as you grow up, you don't have a goûter anymore. Usually say, I'm gonna have a goûter or something like this among French people, but usually you'd be like, I'm just gonna grab a little snack and a coffee in the middle of the afternoon. So yeah, coffee is always appreciated in mid-afternoon and afternoon, I'd say. Oh, what did you say? Je suis pas d'accord avec le beurre plus Nutella. Well, where I grew up, people were eating this. And again, from different parts of France, people eat different things. People would have a croissant, or what would they call a pain au chocolat or chocolatine, or any pastries. But for adults, we would have a coffee. I assume, let's say you have a kid and they want to have a goûter. You would accompany your kid and you would just have a coffee with them. Example of a morning coffee and an afternoon coffee. It's just regular coffee like everybody else in the world. You wake up, you have a coffee. Some people in France, they would have like what I said, baguette with Nutella, jam, strawberry with butter, or they would even eat cheese in the morning for adults. I know my father really having slice of baguette, and he would put on top of it some président. And Parmesan is a like, brand of cheese on which, you would eat in the morning with a coffee. And sometimes I would eat as well, just, a croissant. Not all the time, because croissant is very buttery. It have a lot of calories, and it's not very healthy. It's something you would have, like, on occasion. You are, again, allowed to not drink alcohol. It is perfectly fine to not drink alcohol because you don't like it, because you don't like feeling of it, or simply because you have, like, a condition. People are not gonna judge you on that, and if they do, well, it's too bad on them. So yeah, now we're gonna go to the tests. What do we recommend in coffee or tea? You know what? My dad actually do this. He enjoy having a baguette with président on top, and he would dip it into the coffee. So it's a normal thing as well in France to dip whatever you're eating into your coffee and into your tea as well. I think it's weird in a tea, but a coffee is very natural. But I'm not the one to judge. Do you change the type of coffee beans depending on whether it's morning or daytime? No. Coffee is coffee. No. We're very axed on like beer, wine, and I think, and pasties and all of those, like, things we have throughout the years. Yeah, of course, like, hot cocoa. People like enjoy as well hot cocoa. But like, I don't really see often like adults enjoying cocoa in the morning. Again, it's very sugary. It's also heavy. I don't drink. It's been forever since last time I had like some cocoa. Hot chocolate. It's too heavy. I feel sick after drinking some. Yes, so after dinner, or even after like what we eat during midday, we usually have a coffee. And we would as well, like, have more snacks. We would have cheese. So after you're done eating dinner or your meal, you will have, people proposing you, do you want some cheese? You can have cheese, and then you have a dessert, and or with or without a coffee. A plaster of cheese, yeah. That's why whenever I'm invited to a dinner or a family dinner, they eat so much. I just can't. That's why I skip a lot as well of my meals during the day, because I'm gonna eat a lot for dinner if I were to visit my parents, or if I know we're gonna go to a restaurant. Okay, now quiz time. Let me have access to this. Mods, can you prepare the straw poll? For the straw poll title, just put answer the right option. And the option should be A, B, C, or D. Okay? Let me just... All right, I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna take a pen. And, like every teacher, once I'm done talking, I'm gonna sit because I'm an old lady and my knees hurt. Oh. So, are you ready? No, I don't offer private tutoring. Don't call me auntie. All right, next. So the first question. Why can overly softened or vague speech can feel negative to French listener? What's the right answer above the chat? So, Springsy, remove the pin about the TTS and prepare the straw poll, please. So, answer number 1, it sounds childish. It feels dishonest or unclear. It breaks grammatical rules. It wastes time. So, 1 sec. You have to answer like in the straw poll once Springsy have placed it, please. Select the right answer, please. You have to answer not in the chat. You have to answer above. So select manually on top of the chat which is the right answer, please. I mean, you can also type it in the chat, I don't mind. You can do both. But you need to, you know, put your answer on top, please. Yeah, Paul is not in the chat, it's above. Okay. Seems like it's gonna be B. No, they cannot call a friend. They just had to listen. No, we cannot hide the percentage of answer. But like, you should not like let like the percentage, you know, change your answer. If you think the right answer is something else, then, you know, pick it. Because everyone can be wrong. Don't be a sheep. There's actually studies where they were asking a very obvious, like, you know, question in class, which was 2 + 2 is 5. And one person was not aware they were under experiment. And while everyone was answering, like, you know, it's 4, it's 5, it's 5. So they changed his answer from 4 to 5. Because they were, like, you know, pointed out. And they're like, yes, what about you? And the dude, he knew the answer was not 5. He just decided to follow the masses. And he answered 5 instead of 4. So do not do this in my class. Thank you. All right. So the answer is... You're right. It feels dishonest or unclear. Very good. Well, you were actually like paying attention, were you? Next one. How is disagreement generally viewed in French conversational culture? A. As a personal attack. B. As a breakdown of politeness. C. As a necessary negativity. D. As a normal and expected part of discussion. So now I will wait for the mouse to change. Answer in the poll. You know what? I'm gonna move the camera more down now. Here you go. Thank you. There should be, I think, like, you know, some question that could be tricky, I think. But we'll see. Like, this is a bit obvious. I should have, like, you know, worked a bit more my questions. That's my fault. In France, in Paris, you can get your car torched if someone disagrees. No, you're wrong, Flamewise. You're an idiot. Alright. Alright. Well, I think that's enough people, like, you know, voting. So let's, you know, get the answer. It's not working. I think I may know why. I think it's because Discord doesn't allow so many pictures to be uploaded. So it means I would need to delete the previous one so you can have access to the other one. Oh shit. Okay. Let me see, do not move. Okay. Great, it doesn't work anymore. Huh. So D, yeah, you're right. It is D. One sec. Oh, man. Why it doesn't change now? What if I just use my keyboard? Oh, okay, that works. Okay, I'm just gonna use a keyboard. So yes, the right answer is as normal and expected part of a conversation. It's because disagreement is a participation, and avoiding it can feel passive or shallow. Let me change the camera angle now. Like this should be good. Perfect. Alright, let me just write the result as well. Good. Okay, next. Are you ready? Mods, can you put the next one? Why can small talk feel limited or uncomfortable in France? A. People dislike talking to strangers. B. Conversations are expected to have substance. C. Social rules are too strict. D. Humor is discouraged. You can now vote in the chat. Right above, use a straw poll. I see people have been listening to class. That's very nice. I'm proud of you. Something common sense for a lot of people. It's not common sense. It is definitely not. And I'm the first one, to notice whenever I speak or work with anybody from America. People just say, hello, hi, how are you, fine, and you, bye. And I'm like, why do you message me just, to ask me this? And then you don't actually have, try to converse. So no, it's not common sense in every country. So okay, you can close it up, mods. I took my little note. It's good enough. So yes. Conversation are expected to have substance. Conversation is expected to lead to ideas, opinion, or meaning, not just positivity. Wasted breath doing that. What do you mean? Very good, very good. Okay, so this. It's because, again, why small talks feels limited or uncomfortable? Because, again, like I said earlier, people just don't, they say, hi, how are you? And they just say, I'm fine. And but for us, it's expected that you actually say more than just fine. You can be like, oh, I'm doing fine. Today I've done this, I've done that, I'm done with work. What about you? Or you can be like, oh, today I haven't been fine. I had this bad experience with work, or I missed my train, which meant I went to home later than expected. I don't know, anything. But it's expected to have more discussion involved in here. It's not normal for everybody, again. So now, question 4. Are strong emotions usually expressed in French conversations? A. Through loud volume. B. Through body language. C. Through precise wording and structure. D. Through repetitions. Again, I cannot really put any tricky question. It's a bit hard. But let me look again after my other question. I have this one. Yeah, then it's gonna be a bit more situational. Here it's a bit easier because it's maybe common sense for a lot of you, but after we'll see how you're doing if you actually listened. Okay, so if it's Saint-Louis, A. That's true, I'm always loud. But that's also like, part of being a streamer, you have to be loud. People like when you're loud and you don't make sense and when you're funny. So yeah. Alright. I took my little note. You can show what is the right answer now. Yep, exactly. The right answer is C. Here. So, controlled delivery with strong words is preferred over emotional intensity. That's why when we talk or argue about politics or anything at all, we avoid like raising our voices. Also, the way I talk in private is always different than the way I talk on stream. I'm either like, very chill in, DMs. So yeah. Okay, next. Take my paper. Now, let's see how much you listened. So, you are speaking to a coworker you just met at your new job. They are older than you. What pronouns should you use? A. Tu, to seem friendly. Vous, to respect distance. C. Either is fine. D. Ask them to choose immediately. Answer in the poll. Very nice. Very, very nice. Ma couille. Eh, ça va ma couille? Il est pas encore là le patron? Vas-y, viens, on va se fumer une cigarette. Zwooz and get him drunk. No! Okay, yeah, you got it right. Vous, to respect distance. Distance is safer than familiarity. Using vous shows respect and awareness of hierarchy. So yeah. Always show respect for your senior or anybody who is higher than you at your job. So next, now. You've been using vous with a colleague for months. One day they say, on peut se tutoyer. What does this mean? They are annoyed. They want to argue. They are lowering social distance. Or D, they are joking. Mm-hmm. Can you read that again? Yeah, you've been using vous with a colleague for months. One day they say on peut se tutoyer. What does this mean? A, they are annoyed. B, they want to argue. C, they are lowering social distance. D, they are joking. All right. Well, it's good. You can close it up. Thank you, mods. So yes, the right answer is they are lowering social distance. The shift from vous to tu marks a change in the relationship and is usually initiated by the higher status person. Tutoyer, vous voyez. All right. An American visitor is very friendly, smiles a lot, and jokes immediately with strangers. How this often perceived in France? A. Confident and respectful. B. Polite and professional. C. Fake and excessive. D. Shy. No, but I love joking around. What? I haven't said anything yet. What about the answer? Yep. Okay, you can close it up, mods. You're a great teacher. I'm okay-ish. I never did like a French class before. Oh, okay, it have to end. My bad. It close automatically? Oh, it is. Okay, cool, perfect. Okay. Yes, you were right. It feels fake and excessive. Friendliness without established structure can feel exaggerated or insincere. Okay, this is good. This is good. Okay, well, next question now. You're doing super great, chat. Alright, you're speaking to someone at a party, very casually. So next day you see them at work. What should you do? So A, keep speaking the same way. Use to automatically. Adjust your behavior to the work context. Avoid them for D. This is really chill music. Again, A, keep speaking the same way. B, use to automatically. C, adjust your behavior to the work context. And D, avoid them. got nervous, need to find a job and move country. What do you mean quick while she's not looking? I'm looking. Okay, yeah, right answer is C. Adjust your behavior to the work context. Because context always matters. The same person may require different levels of formality in different settings. We were at question 8. Next question, question 9. It's 6:30 p.m. You are at a friend's place. Someone says, "On prend un apéro." What does this usually mean? A, we'll have 1 or 2 drinks before dinner. B, we're skipping dinner. C, we're going out to get drunk. D, we're celebrating something big. Choose the right answer. Yeah. Okay. Depend your age. Sometimes you actually have adults who allow, like, the youngster to try, alcohol. My dad, actually allowed me to drink some alcohol when I was, 17, 16, maybe. But for me, I was like, bleh, for some of them. But now, as I grew up, I was like, oh, this is good. Yep, right answer is A. We'll have 1 or 2 drinks before dinner. Apero is all about starting and opening up the appetite. It is a transition moment, not a party. It opens in the evening. It doesn't replace the meal. Frick. Okay. 10 now. Question 10. You order picombière at a cafe in the north of France. What does this signal? A. You want to get drunk. B. You're showing off. C. You dislike wine. D. You know local habits. You can now answer. With the PMU shirt on. Okay. Good job. Yes, indeed, it is the. Yeah, it could be like very much like, wine, but we're talking about picombière. So it is, the local habits. And you know what? If you actually are like a foreigner and people can tell by your accent or where you dress up or you talk, and you have a picombière, they'd be like, yes, oui, très bien. You'll make them happy that you know something like, as obvious as a picombière for l'apéro. Il sait! Next question. You keep refilling your wine glass quickly during dinner. How is this likely perceived? A. You're focused more on alcohol than food. B. You're celebrating. C. You're enjoying the meal. D. You're being polite. Il est bon ton pinard. That's so French. Pee poo. Pee poo pee poo. E. Your girlfriend dropped you. Okay, right answer is A. You're focused more on alcohol than food. You are seen as an alcoholic. That's not good. Not somebody who's refined. Wine accompanies the meal. It should not dominate it. Okay, very nice. Let's go for question 12 now, which is, after dessert and coffee, someone offers a small glass of strong alcohol. What is this moment called? A. L'apéro. B. Le digestif. C. Le goûter. D. Le cocktail. And we didn't talk that much about this one on class today. I mentioned it very briefly. There is a total of 8 questions left because it's 20 questions. One right answer is 1 point. Mm-hmm. Exactly. It is B, le digestif. Always. It just helps, like, the digestive means to digest. So I don't know if you even have this in other countries or cultures, but here in France, yeah, it's a normal thing. I never have like a strong alcohol after. Personally, I don't like it. For me, after dessert, I'm done. And sometimes I don't even have dessert because the meal is always too big when I already have an Apero just before. So yeah, no, very good. Good job. Next question is, what matters most when drinking alcohol in France? A, the type of alcohol. B, how expensive it is. C, how much you drink. D, when and why you drink. I like how you're so behaving. I like being the teacher today. Okay. Yeah, I need to change paper. Maîtresse Sarouet, oui. Exactly. The right answer is D. It is when and why you drink. And yeah, because we always drink in a structured way, which people are not aware of, so we're perceived as alcoholic here in France by foreigners. Now, question 14. Which behavior is most socially risky in France? A, being wrong. B, being quiet. C, drinking wine at lunch. D, acting overly familiar too quickly. Which behavior is most socially risky in France? Yeah, it's a bit more tricky, huh? Which one is more socially risky? Yeah, like he's judging you. That's my dad. But if we think, like, we look alike. I mean, like, right now we have, like, his red suit. It would be better, like, if he had, like, the blue one. But yeah, so the right answer is acting overly familiar too quickly. You can be familiar with stranger, by the way. It just, again, depends on the intonation, the context, and what's happening. You can be like, quickly friend with somebody who was, I think, no, you know what, when I think about it, is that, let's say you are into rock and metal, and you go to a concert of rock and metal, and there's an old man who's there, when he's like screaming and partying. Like, I think a lot of us, the young ones, we would still, like, use vous for talking with that older man, even though we are, like, in a concert and whatever. But most of the time, I think in, those places, the old man would be like, oh, tutoie-moi, oh. Je suis pas si vieux que ça. Alright, good job. So it's 14 questions. Next one, 15. During a debate, someone interrupts you mid-sentence to argue a detail. This is usually A. Participatory engagement, B. Competitive hostility, C. Impolite, or D. Aggressive. I'm eating my pen. Really bad at it. Yeah, actually I have like the cap on the back of my pen, so it's a pen that is a big pen. I really like, showing on it. Oh, there's a few people who were not listening in chat. We got 26 people, 14% who said it is impolite. But no, you're wrong. It's actually A. It is A. It is participatory engagement here in France. Don't forget, we're talking about France here. People love debating and they love, being wrong and right. Both are encouraged. Okay, next question now. You walk into a small shop and say, excuse me, before saying bonjour. The shopkeeper seems colder afterward. Why? They dislike foreigners. Fucking immigrants. You use the wrong tone. Excuse-moi. You skip the social acknowledgement step. Or they are simply rude. What is the right answer? I love it too when somebody has a great point to interject. I'm like, oh, no. No, I really like when I realize something I wasn't aware of because I'm learning. Also, Signs, thank you very much for sub. Charlie Im, thank you. Okay. J'hésitais vraiment à parler en français parce que je me souvenais des règles du serveur et même du live. Yeah, for today you can speak in French if you want because it's a French class. Like it's perfectly fine because today is an exception. So yeah, the right answer is... You skip the social acknowledgement step. Monsieur and madame are very important to use. And of course, if you say, excusez-moi, bonjour madame, you can. But most of the time, it's better to say bonjour before asking, what you want in the menu, So that's this. I'm nothing. Here you go. Next question. Question 17. A French friend makes a sarcastic joke about your outfit with a completely serious face. How do you interpret this? A. They are judging you. B is a sign of comfort. C, they dislike your style. D, they are socially awkward. It's only today for French, then tomorrow it's back to, English. Select the right answer. Happy Valentine's Day, the good Chabis. Yeah, the right answer is... It's a sign of comfort. If a friend is like, bantering and stuff, they're not like, being freaking serious. It means they're joking around. It means they're comfortable, like, to do this with you. And they expect you to do the same as well, It's a way, like, we like to show how much we care. Next, question 18. Which behavior is the least French? A. Smiling constantly at stranger. B. Complaining about politics daily. C. Drinking moderately but regularly. D. Debating loudly but calmly. Which one is the least French? I like smiling to strangers. Good for you. That's what you give. I just go around and give a stranger like a big warm hug. Lol, se plaindre de la politique en France, vous apprenez ça à la maternelle, non? On n'apprend pas ça à la maternelle, non? À vrai dire, moi je m'en foutais en vrai de la politique avant récemment. But yeah, right answer is A. Smiling consistently to stranger. Like, that's weird. Unless, like, it depends again on the settings. If it's like, just smiling randomly at everyone is just weird. We don't do this here. Again, it depends on the context. By example, like, I don't know. Yeah, no. Wait, smiling at strangers is what got me in the most trouble in France. And then they find out I'm British and they just let me off the hook. Yeah, I mean, just smiling all the time is just really weird. Just, normal. Just be toned down casually. You can, give a polite smile, when you say bonjour. But usually people don't really smile that much, We're just like, we acknowledge each other with, like, the words we use, not specifically with, like, the face. So, yeah. Okay. Okay, next question, then. You're doing great. Question 19. A French friend says nothing during your story, then says oui, mais, and challenges your point. A. They were bored. B. They were listening and building a counterpoint. C. They were waiting to attack. D. They disagree with you personally. Attack physically, yeah, they could. They could jump at your throat, like, look at, Spy. He's the one, like, who backstab you. At all time. People have told me I'm socially awkward my whole life, and now I'm just thinking I was just French this entire time. Yeah, right answer. It is B. They were listening and building a counterpoint. And finally, we have our very last question for today's test, which is question 20. Which situation would feel most uncomfortable in France? A. Heated intellectual disagreement. B. Visible drunkenness. C. Formal distance between colleagues. D. Dry sarcasm. Okay. So the right answer is a visible drunkenness. Because it's like, which is a must. So dry sarcasm, we have a lot of really, sarcasm all the time and jokes that are very crude. It's regular for us to have formal distance between colleagues. It's normal for us to, have disagreements and to debate, even if sometimes it can be a bit heated. But the most uncomfortable would be visible drunkenness. It means you cannot, you don't know your level and how much you can drink. And yeah, you're not reading the room. You're the only one looking stupid right now. We're not at a party. We are at the freaking regular dinner. So yeah, good job everybody. You succeeded the test. You got 20 on 20, which is like the best freaking note you can get. For real. And that's how we give grades here in France. It is on 20, always on 20. So 20 on 20 means you're really good, you're very smart. It means you've actually been listening to today's class. So thank you very much. I wasn't talking to a wall. Let me just put back my other sliders and if I can. Here you go. So this was today's French class. Thank you very much for participating, to listening, taking the time to think and to answer to the quiz. So this was initially one reward for the event of 2025. I was saying I would do a French class, so here it is. I decided to go with 3 different subjects with then after 20 questions. And so we were able to do for 3 hours and 30 minutes. So at least now I know how much I can talk, how much I can provide if we were to do another lesson. It can be just also something else, not just have to be French only. But I'm glad you enjoyed that kind of stream. I've never done anything like it before. Do you have anything to say? Any feedback? Maybe I would love to have feedbacks. I think maybe the quiz were a bit too easy. It feels like very like, you know, it's logical, but for some people it could be not. I try to put some tricky questions as well in it, but I think you've done, you know, really great. So, I mean, if you want, maybe in the future I can do another like French lesson. I don't know when, but I think it would be great to like, you know, keep one, you know, as a reward for like a charity event. Because those rewards are never for Sabaton, they're always for charity. So, because I don't need to do Sabaton. I need more money than I currently, like, you know, I'm earning with my stream and my sponsorships. Yes. All right. Then thank you again. Thank you to Spy who came over and paid us a visit to represent, like, you know, our beautiful country, that is France. So for anyone who's new here, I would appreciate it if you can take the time of the day to come and join my Discord server or to follow me on Twitter. Though I'd rather say, as soon as we do not need Discord anymore, we will switch platforms because it's bad. It's bad. So anyway, we try to, like, you know, think about an alternative to change from Discord to elsewhere once the time comes. Anyway, all right. Again, merci beaucoup. Vive la France. Bonsoir aux Français. Bonne nuit. And I will see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. CET for another stream. We might either play Killzone or I will be playing Clone Hero because I do have, like, you know, now the guitar. So we'll see. I'd like to do Killzone more rather than Clone Hero, and instead, like, you know, saving the game for next week if you don't mind. So yeah. All right. Bye-bye. You take care, and thank you again, thousands of times. Thank you very much. You made my time worth it on preparing all of this. So thank you very much. Mwah! Mwah! Thank you. Bye-bye.